Namaste. Welcome. The tongue holds the key to unlocking the many secrets of our energetic system. And it could even lead us to knowing, experiencing, and understand our deep spiritual nature or identity. At first, the body will feel light. And then the first aspect of the energetic system would start to manifest. And it's the energy locks or the bandhas. And then once the bandhas start to manifest, it's the start of it. Yeah. After the bandhas, you will feel the breath flow more, and then you will use the awareness to do your internal cleansing of the nadis, so on and so forth. It's never ending. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. There's no other way but for the energy to flow. And then when it happens, the realization, the grace, the breakthroughs, the accomplishments will just never end. And this is a beautiful process if we take a look at it from the perspective of non-attachment, non-clinging, and just being content. Yeah. Because you know that there will always be that better way of doing a certain element. You know there's always tomorrow, and you know that it will never end. Yeah? So it doesn't mean that we become lazy. It doesn't mean that we become less involved in the practice, because we've done our part already. We've passed that stage already of breaking through the challenges. Yeah? And it doesn't happen overnight. I tell you, the first 2 or 3 years or even 4 years into the practice is really challenging, and really depending on practice, depending on the frequency, the time we allot the practice, because we have many other things affecting our practice. Yeah, maybe around 2 or 3 years or even 4 years into the practice, and then the bandhas will manifest. And then what happens? Yeah, it just goes on and on and on and on. Now, we've passed that stage already. Yeah. Although the elements that we used to enjoy will always be there, because that's how we crack through it. So we have to do a bit of that as well to initiate the flow of the energy, now, especially if you tackle the Hatha Yoga method. See, the asanas will always be there. Now, although you will now be practicing only specific elements you need for a particular intention. And then you will be focusing now more on breath, regulating the breath. Yeah. Some physical movement there just to loosen the body would be enough. And then you will allot more time regulating the breath. But of course, we need to do it slowly as well. Even the breath regulation, we need to really be careful. And I advise that seek guidance of a teacher if you have questions, especially if you feel any pressure, unnecessary pressure, when you regulate the breath. Seek guidance of a teacher. Now, when the breath starts flowing, you will discover pathways, realms inside your body that you never felt were there before. And then we would realize and feel that what's inside the body is not the material organs, but it's a vast empty space where we could access endlessly and explore endlessly. And the sensation is this thing, really, is this thing. It rises. The awareness rises. Yeah. And there's no way but to go there, actually. There's no way but to go there. You don't have actually to plan for it. It will just happen organically. And as you feel the manifestation rise, the elements as well of the practice changes. Yeah, the elements will change. Now you will be focusing more on this. Yeah, because that's where the energy leads you, and less of the bottom structure. Alright. And then without the guidance of the teacher, this could be very confusing. Why? Alright. Because you've been enjoying your body so much and the accomplishments. that when you start to feel the manifestation rise, and then you keep yourself down there, it could be confusing, it could hurt you, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So with the guidance of the teacher will really tell you how to do the process safely, how to transition from one stage to the next. I didn't have a teacher, so I had some stumbles along the way, but I learned from them. Yeah. And then, I don't know, yeah, when I reached that point where I am so challenged and I didn't know what to do, an experience, a realization will happen. Yeah. And then that will take me there. Something like that. So it's really, I would say it's a grace. We always invoke that attitude of surrendering. Just be. Sometimes you just have to stop, feel, and then stay just silent and steady. Literally. When it comes to energy flow is concerned, the more we force the body to move, the more we force it to happen, it will not happen because the body is so involved in the process. Even the breath could be too much involved in the process. Now that when you just sit steady like that and then just feel it and then just access the bandha subtly, it will manifest. And then the subtleness of that energy, the rising energy, could be felt inside our mouth, specifically the tongue. Like the tongue would develop this sensitivity, like a magnetic sensitivity, that everything is being drawn to that space inside your mouth. That you feel electrical current covering and working and pulsating inside the mouth, particularly the tongue. And the tongue, the backs of the tongue and the roof of the tongue will just naturally retract backwards. Even the base, beneath and under the tongue, it will feel really sensitive. Like there are magnets there, and the magnets draw everything here. From here, like you wanna lift all the sensations, the collarbones, neck, and then all the sensations, are being drawn to that part of the tongue, and the tongue just pulls back itself all the way to the backs of your neck. And even higher up, like the cavity of your nasal pathway, the nasal cavity, and the roof or the origin of the tongue behind just closes it. Like you are making the pathway of the breath even more narrow, and you can even close it. And then what happens when you're able to do that minor little adjustment, you can stimulate the very tip of your spine, and then you can send the electricity, whatever you're feeling inside the mouth, inside the tongue, to touch that point. This process is really sensitive, all right, and the guidance of the teacher is really very important. Why? Right? Because as the tongue becomes more sensitive, right, you will feel pressure around the spot of your neck. Because your tongue there, the energetic, I would say, components covering the tongue, will draw and absorb and collect whatever is lingering here towards that point. And if the tongue is tight, if the tongue cannot move as much inside the mouth, then the energy, the heaviness, the pressure gets trapped here. Because there's no other way but for you to lift up awareness higher. So from the bottom of the body. So the process is the same. So the initial challenges of the Kundalini, yes, around the hips, and then once you pass that stage, it's right here, and then once you pass the stage, it's right here. So similar, but now it's the tongue inside doing the work, and of course you're regulating the breath through the engagement of your energy lungs. And the tongue would have to find a way to release the pressure. Otherwise, if we keep the pressure here, it could be problematic. It could lead to shoulder pain, neck pain, or even headaches. Because you need to release the pressure. And then for you to release the pressure, you have to lift and then dissolve the pressure higher up the upper regions of your neck and all the way up to the central nervous system inside. Right? This stage is sensitive because there are observances involved in making the tongue sensitive. Alright. There are kriyas involved, observances involved, cleansing practice involved for the tongue to progressively develop as well. And this includes some tongue exercises like the Kalabya Kriya, the Nabho Kriya. When we exercise our tongue by massaging the tongue, and all of this would involve technicalities that only your teacher could lead you personally. All the way, if the intuition is there, the Khechari Mudra. And the Khechari Mudra could be tackled different ways. Yeah. Some cut the frenulum, the membrane under the tongue. Some just do the exercises, although it might take really long time for you to be able to curl the tongue all the way back and up to the nasal cavity. I didn't do that. I just use that awareness of the subtleness, that retraction of the tongue backwards and upward, and I will use the subtle bandhas located around the jaw to stimulate that part, and that will lead to the draining of the pressure. So because the energy, if we do not drain it, it becomes like pressure inside the body, and it doesn't feel good. Somehow we need to drain it. And energetically, that's one way of draining. Allow it to really rise, enter the central nervous system, and then through the process we call Samadhi, and then after the process, you become light again, and then you start over again. So I do it, maybe once or twice a month. But no pressure, no clinging. It happens, it doesn't happen. Yes, no worries, because it will happen. Yes, that's the beauty of acknowledging the grace and the ever flowing, never-ending flow of the energy. So you might be at this stage already that you're feeling the sensitivity of your tongue. And it's a indication of the readiness to focus here. And then with the guidance of the teacher, you will be given a progressive program tackling the energetic aspects concerning the tongue and the mouth in general. All right, so yes. Follow your intuition. That's one of the best advice I could give you. All right? Our intuition is never wrong. It's your energy telling you to do something for your own good. Till the next one. Namaste.